Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Brett Tanaka. I am the computer science specialist from the Office of Curriculum and Instructional Design. I want to welcome all of our Hawaii DOE teachers and participants, as well as our CFDA Hawaii members on this pop-up PD. And we're super excited to have the Unruly Studios team here, along with our Lillihua Complex team, Garrett and Melanie, and they will be sharing all the exciting things about Unruly Splats and how they're using it. So with that, I will turn it over to Marisa to take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Brad. Great. So today we're going to be talking about the steps you can take to implement coding. So we have our wonderful guests, Grant and Melanie, but we'll start off with some quick introductions. So just so everyone knows, my name is Marissa. I'm the digital marketing specialist at Unruly Studios, which we'll talk about what splats are in a little bit. But Grant, do you want to give a quick intro too?
Sure. The dork in the middle. That is me. And I've worked with some of you guys before doing computer science support. And I got that title from Faith, the support RT with LMW complex area. And just wanted to share from the complex wide lens.
Amazing. And then there's Melanie.
Hello. First grade teacher at Solomon. Share my experience.
Okay, great. So before we go into the steps you can take, we're going to talk about some of the challenges that we've seen when implementing computer science. So I know, Grant, you wanted to touch upon some of the ones you've seen.
Yeah, for sure. And this is kind of old news for everybody, right? But we just kind of put it together to synthesize it. So we were tasked, right, state of Hawaii with computer science. And now with the SB 242, how do we really get computer science? Because some of the challenges, and I think as we lay it out and you see it, then it's like, oh yeah, but then we can kind of prioritize it, right? So for one of the biggest challenges is that it is outside of the comfort level of a lot of teachers. They often refer to computer science as this, oh, that's the tech teacher's thing. And so they're not comfortable with it, right? So, and a lot of times as adults, as teachers, if we're not comfortable, we're going to be very hesitant to delve into that. Or the other side of that is just not really interested. We bring up computer science and either eyes roll, they're like, nah, not for me, or no thanks, or just not interested in finding out more about it. So we said, okay, so those are kind of the two things. Then there's the other conversation where we've had lack of resources. And that's pretty broad, right? I mean, whether it's lack of time, well, Grant, I don't have time to get trained, or I don't have time to put it in my school day because our day is packed from 8 to 2, right? So where do you find the time for this? Or much less find the training so that I can feel a little more comfortable to implement computer science. And then even if we get past that hurdle, then it's, well, what do I use? What kind of devices can I get that I can readily get to work with my students, right? So those are a lot of the resource kind of questions that come up. I mean, those are the biggest three, but I don't know, are there any others? And I turn that back to you, Marissa.
Yeah, I would love to also open it up to the chat. Like, what other challenges have you seen when trying to implement any computer science program at your school? Yeah, I resonate with the kind of just a little intimidating and scared, but we like to say at Unruly, like, you kind of learn with your students and that's half the fun, which I know we'll get into later, but I think that's a big one that we're learning to overcome by just like, making it fun and knowing that it's okay to make mistakes with your students and learn with them. So someone said school-wide support is important as well. Yeah, that makes sense. You want to kind of figure out a way to make it cross-curricular. But great, yeah, please feel free to keep sharing in the chat, but we're gonna move on. So before we dive any deeper, I kind of want to give a little context of what splats are. So here at Unruly Studios, we're all about combining active play with block-based coding. So our students will go into our Splats app, either on an iPad or Chrome browser, and code out the game and then play the game in real life using our physical splats, which look just like this. So these are clickable floor buttons that light up, make sound. You can stomp on them, press them, do all sorts of things. So students create all sorts of collaborative games like relay races, whack-a-mole, dance games. We'll talk about race and place a little bit later on, but there's a lot you can do with splats. So I know, Grant, you just recently have supported an implementation of SLAT. So I'd love to hear some of the benefits that you've seen since doing that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so when we did it, I did it as more of a fly on the wall at Solomon, and Mel can share about that in a little bit. But I also did it with some students at like UCA, and really the students are excited to learn, right? They hear about these things or they see these things on whatever type of media, social media, whatnot, and they're excited. And so when you present them with the opportunity, then their eyes light up. They're like, oh, I want to do that, or I've seen it. Now, how do I do that? Right? And then the hands-on learning, I have to move this thing, the hands-on learning that shows immediate results. So what I mean by that is, as you learn about this platform, as soon as the kids code it and it syncs with the actual device, actual Splat, they see what did they code, so that it becomes real, right? It becomes more than just I coded on my computer screen, here's what it looks like. It's I coded on my computer screen and I brought it to life, right? Sort of like a robotics thing, right? Because kids are comfortable with robotics, but that's not for everybody. So now this is another way to get them interested, because who doesn't like colors and sounds? And the last part, really working with these students, there was a lot of cross-curricular integration, and we're even able to tie with some real world application, right? So in one activity, and Mel will share about this later on, we could do a little bit of math, a little bit of science and whatnot. And then we made it real world, meaning we gave them some real world challenges, like we had to climb up so many steps. We're firefighters and they climb up so many steps in a given amount of time. How many steps do you think we can climb? And then making a challenge, right? So those are some of the benefits. The kids got excited. It got their attention. They saw immediately what they're able to do, gave them instant feedback on what they had done, and then just really connecting the dots with different content areas.
Yeah, I think that's really great. And coding's just becoming kind of like an expected literacy for the future generation. So the earlier on and the more excited you can get them about it now, the easier it will be later on, which is all really great points. Great. So we kind of talked about some benefits, we've talked about the challenges, and now we're going to kind of go into those steps you can take when implementing a computer science program, kind of like Unruly Splats, into your school. So Grant, how have you made computer science exciting?
I just show them Faith's picture and I'm like, guys, do you want to work with her? Sorry, Faith, just kidding. When we had to hype it up, right? It was really, we got the not tech teacher involved. And the not tech teacher, right? Because again, a lot of schools, people defer to the tech teacher as, oh, anything computer science goes to Kevin or goes to Terry or whatnot, right? But the not tech teacher, when he or she is doing these things, right? The PE teacher or the counselor, and they're doing it in PE or through SEL, and the kid's like, wait a minute, you're not Mr. Kevin, or you're not Miss Terry. They get it. So now they're getting it from different areas. The nice part, especially with something like Splats, right? Where you can do live and you can do it across the board, and having admin participate in a challenge, the kids get excited, but then the admin starts to see the value of it, right? The admin is like, wait a minute, this isn't so complicated that I can't do anything with it. Let me learn a little bit more. So that's where we were doing like some of the admin challenges. And I think Mel has a couple of pictures of that too, right? So admin gets excited, kids get excited, teachers see, wow, leadership by example. Okay, maybe let's delve into a little bit more. And then really students do have the best PR, right? As the kids get excited, teachers get excited. So as kids are talking about it and parents hear about it, then wow, bonus, right? The kids are going home and talking about, we did this in class today. And when the kids are excited and the parents are like, wow, I'm so glad I sent my kid to school, or they're learning so much. So that's how we've been attacking it as a complex, or at least part of the complex.
Yeah, that's great. I think too, like, who doesn't like playing games, like adding that gamification aspect into it too? And like, it's just like one of your favorite, like, who doesn't love relay races? And you kind of bring that to life, and then they don't even know they're learning to code. They're just having fun and playing games. So that's also great. Awesome. So how has student-led learning empowered computer science for you?
Okay, so again, from like more of the district lens, again, right, kids are doing the mobile gamings and they're seeing this all over the place, and now they're trying it and students are interested. So now they become the drivers, right? We're huge with student voice, and really prepping students for to be college and career ready. And these are things that interest them. So because they bring it up, we as teachers are like, well, then I want to feed that. I want to fuel that, right? So then they become the drivers. They want to learn more about it. They'll be doing the follow-up. They'll be doing the, do this at home if you want to try, right? Secondly, motivated students motivate teachers, right? Anytime where we struggle with as teachers, we're like, well, how do we motivate the students to try this or this or this? How do we motivate teachers to want to try this because it's out of their comfort zone or they're not really interested? But then when you have the motivated students, they help to motivate us as teachers, right? Because then as we get motivated students, we're motivated to like up our game. And we're motivated to be like, well, I want to tap into their interest and really let them delve into it. I don't want to be the one that stops them or kills the motivation. So how do I step up my game, right? So motivated students motivate teachers. And finally, students as mentors. And this could be seen in a lot of different ways. What we're trying to do is get like either the high school, well, at least secondary, middle school, to kind of mentor the younger grades. Like that's the plan down the road. But in the meantime, some students pick it up faster than others. So as they help others coding it, and like, oh, I can do that, right? Students as mentors, or even students can then work with teachers and say like, oh, Mr. Toyoka, what if you did it this way? Hey, that's pretty sharp. So yeah, that's what we've been trying to do it as that, as really having the students push it and build. And in turn, we've also then used it as like, well, here's the groundswell coming up, guys. Next grade level, what are you gonna do? Right? Because now we have all these kids who are interested in, and they don't want to be the ones that stop the momentum. So they're like, okay, well, okay. So we've used that as kind of at least a starting point, right? To really get this going.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to the gamification of it again, where it's like you coded this game and you're so excited to share it that you want to share it with your peers, and then you want to show your peers how you made your game, or coded your game and use those blocks. So it's kind of like going back to hyping it up, and then like the students will then show either their teachers or their parents or other fellow students also how the game works and how they made it. Great. So how have you been incorporating CS into the school day?
So one of our conversations, we talked about how do we sprinkle it in different content areas, right? So going back to the point of get the not tech teacher to do it. So now it comes up in PE, or now it comes up in what the students think is gonna be like a regular math class. It's like, no, we're gonna use this device instead. Like, really? Right? So we sprinkle it across. So it's not just one block of time, and it's really limited only by the creativity that the team comes up with, right? Counselors again can do it as SEL. That's actually what got us started with Splats, was the SEL workshop you guys offered at the beginning of the school year. And like, wow, cross content, that's a nice touch to it, right? And it gets other teachers talking about it. Some schools can have done it or trying to do it as like a lunchtime activity, right? So as they split up students for like an A-B lunch rotation kind of thing, it gives us something else different to do. And if they cannot participate, and we get it, but when they're seeing it, they're piquing their curiosity, right? And then they could then work with the teachers to do it. Or sometimes we've also been talking with a couple of schools to do it more like a SBA relief, right? State testing, it's kind of done already, but when you're done with that, what do we give the kids as a relief, as a break? Like, hey, let's slat. So just looking at different ways to do it, where, because we get it, time is of the essence, especially now, but there are those times where we're like, let's plug some things in there for now and get them excited.
Yeah, I think those are all really great points too. And with Splats, we offer like a lot of different cross-curricular lesson plans. Like I know you mentioned kind of like brain breaks. So we have like a brain break lesson plan where it gets students up and moving. And we also have like, it's called Lucky Splats. It incorporates probability. So you could kind of like sprinkle that into maybe your math class or something like that. So all really great points. Great. So also, what tools have eased this integration process for you?
Okay, this one was a little trickier because we're like, well, what have we done? And so really, any platform now that has that virtual and that physical, we found it very beneficial, because the physical draws the attention, but then the virtual allows them to either do it at home or do it for the students who are distance learning, right? So that they too can play along. The only downside is, of course, they don't have the actual physical device, but and we'll see soon, right? The platform is exactly the same. So that's been a nice tool. Secondly, everyone Hawaii, state of Hawaii knows Shane that has done code.org. He is Mr. Code.org and brilliant mind, right? And then Ian has done Altino and the Arduino cars and whatnot. But this is kind of like a second dose, right? So for some that are comfortable with code.org and Altino, this is like another way that kids get excited for it. And for some who may not have felt comfortable trying code.org or Altino, this is like a non-threatening way, right? Because you see this Splat, this device, and then it's a physical presence. So it's a little bit different. So for some, it's like a second dose of deep thinking, right? Like, how do we bring it off of the computer screen with code.org and another way? And for some, it's, well, I didn't care for that because I didn't feel comfortable with that, but I want to try this, right? So that's what we found as a really useful tool. And it's been great as code.org as a reference point, right? Hey, you know, this is like an extension of that. And lastly, the pre-packed activities that Marissa mentioned earlier, that's really a great starting point. So for teachers, you know, who are a little interested but not quite comfortable yet, you know, let's just load this activity, let's load this project, and then the kids can see it. And then as they get comfortable with the game, like, well, how would you modify it, Marissa? Or Mel, what would you want to do if you had to create a different kind of game? But they use that as a starter, right? And then because the drop and drag is like, oh, you coded that, awesome. So those are some of the tools that we saw as really helping demystify that computer science is just really not stuck in one place. Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are all really great points. And yeah, the prepackaged games too are really great for, like you mentioned, educators, maybe even the PE teacher who just kind of wants to add that physical movement, or he really likes one game we have. You can just like plug and play that in, and then over time, you know, the confidence will build even for the educators to like start incorporating it more, which is awesome. Great. So now we talked about some steps. So now we're going to kind of go into what that looks like in action. So we have Melanie here who's going to talk about some of her experiences as a first grade teacher. But what we like to say is the rules for the game are the rules for the code. So when students are really first starting off using block coding and splats, we kind of, you know, you pick the game, you write down those rules, and then you really take those rules and build the code with it. Which looks just like this on our Splats app, which you kind of saw a little bit earlier. So you can use all these different types of blocks to build on the grid. And then we also have virtual Splats right here on the left, where you can kind of like test out your program too before you bring it to life with your students, or if a student wants to make sure there's no bugs in their code, they can do that all right there before you play your game. And also, like Grant said, we have some pre-built games that you can just upload right into our platform, which is one of these buttons over here, which is great. So Melanie, how have you been using Splats in your first grade classroom?
Okay. Hi. So, in my classroom, I'm the, as Grant says, the not tech teacher, right? So I'm I'm not a computer science teacher or anything. I'm just a first grade teacher. And then we were asked to kind of try out Splats. So I volunteered to do it, and the kids love it. So I use Splats. We kind of just started off with like the end of the day, just testing it out. But I use the pre-coded games, so the preloaded games. So then we just kind of together as a class change the code. So we'll change the color of the splats or the sounds of the splats. And then we, like in this, on the video there, we're playing four corners. So I kind of incorporate math or ELA. So the kids, and some PE, I tell them to skip or gallop to a splat. And then if the light goes off, then the kids that are there need to solve a math problem or spell a spelling word for the day or some other kind of integrated area. And then that picture on the left there is our principal. On the right, I get playing with splats with the kids. So if we could play that video and kind of see.
Totally. Let's see.
32. Okay, good. All right. Yeah, let it go.
So they're practicing. I think this one's galloping to a splat. And then it goes off and they have to solve a problem.
42 add 10. 52. Good.
Amazing.
And it's kind of good to so they're not really put on the spot, right? Because they're solving the problem with other kids too, so that kind of helps. So my students ask every day to play splats. We had indoor recess today, so we played splats. um, so yeah, it's like the last, we're packing up for the day, can we play splat? So we'll just put it on, even if it's like 5-10 minutes, and they'll just do like a quick race in place or whack-a-mole. So right now they're not doing a lot of their own coding. We're starting off together and just slowly, changing sounds or colors and those kinds of things. So they love it.
Yeah, so I know you I know you touched upon their reaction, but how
Yes.
else have they reacted to using splats? I know you also mentioned before, like they love the race and place game, so maybe you could touch upon that too.
Yeah. So race and place, we started playing that. So they're just stomping on it as many times as they can. And I think it was I don't remember the time. We played every day. I can't remember the time right now. But it was kind of funny because on their own, they just started writing each other's scores down. And then they were like kind of comparing. So they're comparing 2-digit numbers there, right? Like, oh, you had 32 and you had, and then they'll ask me to play sometimes too, and they like to make sure they can beat me, right? So I kind of competitive, so I don't give them chance. But they kind of will on their own kind of started doing those things like writing each other's scores, and they kind of incorporating math, or you had more, you had less, or and so they like that. And whack-a-mole, like and they kind of like with each other are like kind of competitive as a team, like, oh, there's like in that one, they're whack-a-mole, they're supposed to stomp on the red, and then so they'll be like, no, don't stomp on it. But it's they love it, and then we incorporate it throughout the day with other areas. But
Yeah, that's amazing. I think too, it kind of brings like that teamwork in and like learning those teamwork skills of like working together. Going back to Four Corners too, like you're kind of all solving that math problem as a team more or less. So you feel like kind of with your people instead of just like by yourself and on your
yeah,
island. So I think
like
those are all really great benefits that you've
put on the
seen.
spot. Yeah.
What do you think is like, what are you most looking forward to with Splats in the future? Do you have any big plans or future like ideas?
I guess for the kids to maybe kind of start like coding their own things like right now, and it's kind of like Grant said, like they motivated me, right? That first time we brought it out, it was just the our computer science teacher did bring it down, and then they asked like, can we play every day? So then I took it home and I tested out some games, right? So they kind of motivated me to learn more about it. But yeah, maybe like down the road having them kind of code instead of us like all doing it together, just maybe slowly like letting them explore those things, because right now we're just doing it together as a class. But even then they like that, like let's make weird animal sounds or noises. And so just even that, like picking the coloring and sounds is like fun for them, it's just different, but kind of like a fun break.
I know that's a great goal. I think it's a really good way to get them engaged in the beginning and excited about it, and then soon they'll be like creating their own games in their mind and they'll like want to share them with everyone. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Great. So now we're gonna
Can I jump in real quick?
totally.
Yeah. So Mel, I want to thank you, right? Because you were a pioneer, and you're like, hey, let's try it, right? And you're just very positive that way. How has your grade level? So aside from the students, we were there. Students loved it. And they want to do it all the time. I was there the day they were like, they finally learned to work together and look at positive numbers versus negative numbers, and it's really beautiful thing. But what about your grade level? How have they, right? Because that was part of it, right? Get the not tech teacher, and I don't mean to sound disrespectful, but anyway, right? Get the not tech teacher to do it, which is what you did. How did the rest of your grade level resonate with that?
They're all kind of actually doing it, and I think what makes it good is are those preloaded games, right? So it's not threatening, like, oh, I got to do something new with my kids, right? We can just load something, we can play it with the kids. So I know there's other teachers on the grade level that are using it too. They might be just playing the same game every day, I don't know, but they're not afraid to use it and to try it out, and so that's a good thing, right?
Right. And that's
so now, Yeah, now the second grade teachers have been asking to do it. So now we got to give back some of our splats because we got to share it.
That's the downside, right? Is now I
Yeah.
gotta share.
Yeah.
But also
So
one, right? Like what would be kind of cool is what if, like, I don't know down the road, right? But let's say you guys partner with like, let's say fourth grade or something like
yeah.
that. And now fourth graders also have to make a challenge for the first graders.
Oh yeah.
Or
Right.
can the right? Can the first grader stump the fourth grader? Or you know, like I love how it's growing though, and it's kind of organic, right? Because it wasn't Principal Swan saying everybody has to do it.
Right. No.
Started off with Mel and then the grade level, and now second grade's feeling the heat, right? That groundswell is, oh man, but it's okay. Thanks for sharing though.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's a great point too. We've actually had a school in the past kind of do Splats Olympics, so you can kind of make really build that school community and bring everyone together with Splats and like play those games. So maybe in the future, next year, you guys could, have some grade level competition with Splats and like really
That
get
sounds
into it
fun.
too, kind of like a field day type of thing. So yeah, that's really exciting. I'm excited to see how far this will go with you guys. But now we're going to go into one of our new games called Quiz Show. So it's a take on Jeopardy style game where it's really great way to introduce block coding for your students for the first time if they've never really seen it. So I'm going to pull up the lesson plan that we have and show it to you guys. So it's very similar to Jeopardy. Does anyone want to pick our first block or box? Either maybe Melanie or Grant.
Can we pick somebody like my pal Hope or Faith or?
Yeah. If Hope or Faith wants to write in the chat which one they want to pick, and then I can click on it.
Ooh, they're gonna scold me later, but that's okay.
You can type it right in and then make sure you click panelists and attendees too so we can all see it.
Let's make it interactive.
Love that. Vocab for sixth grade. Yeah, I love it. Cool. So function. What statement about functions is false? So either write in the chat what you think the answer is. Either A, a function can be used multiple times in a single program. B, a function can hold as many blocks as you would like. C, a function can only hold one block at a time. And D, a function can be named orange, sky, bacon, 2, 3, 4. So write in the chat what you think the false answer is. Looks like we have a D. I do love bacon though, funny. And then there's a C, a lot of C's. What is D? Very traditional, I like it. Great, okay, so then you can just click right to the next slide and we'll have our answer. So the answer is C. So functions can hold multiple blocks at a time. So great, so whoever guessed C, you get 600 splat bucks, way to go. Then we have this home button and it will take us right back to the scoreboard. So any takers for the next one? Let's see, let's do a couple more. Who Hope did that one? Does maybe Faith have an idea? Oh, yep, she has order up for 1,000. I love
Faith,
it.
you're going for it, huh, Faith? $1,000.
So order up, you correct the order. So this one might be a little tricky to do over chat, but you write the letters in the correct order. So you want to make win sounds. So you'll move A, B, C, or D into the correct order so the win sound plays. This is spot red. Great, I'll give everyone a few minutes for this one. It might be a little tricky to write out, but I can explain the answer afterwards. So you just want to put them in order. So it could be A, B, C, D, it could be D, B, C, A. It's kind of the order of the code will make the answer of a win sound. give everyone a few more seconds. Great. Nice, we got some answers. C, A, B, D, A, B, D, C. Great. Yeah, I'll switch over. Let's see what's correct. Great, so it's C, A, B, D, which a lot of you got, which is great. So so it starts with light splat 1, color red. So if splat 1 equals red, light splat 1 green. So then if splat 1 equals green, then you get score points. So then if splat 1, and then you go to score points. So change splat 1 score by 2. And then it says if splat 1 score is greater than 0, you play the win sound, which is a cheering sound. So a lot of you got that after a few minutes, which is great. I'm very impressed. That's 1,000 splat bucks right there. So great job. Cool. Let's do one or two more. I think everyone's into this. You guys are really challenging yourselves today. Any takers that want to write in the chat what they want to do next? I can give it a few seconds, and then if not, maybe Grant can pick one or Melanie. Split the money among the winners. I like that idea.
How about it does what for 400?
Cool. I like it. So what does this code do? Pick one true answer. So either A, when the program starts, all the splats light up red and play a doorbell sound. B, when the program starts, splat 1 lights up red and plays a splat sound. And then, or C, when the program starts, splat 1 lights up red and splat 2 plays a doorbell sound. We got a lot of C's rolling in. Great, I love it. Amazing. I'll give everyone a few more minutes, but everyone's confident on this one. Great. So this timer up here you can use to utilize in your classroom too. So it's a 60-second stopwatch. So if you wanted to time your students too, you can. But the correct answer is C. Great job. And everyone got that right. So as you can see, when the program starts, lights splat up 1 red, and then the doorbell sound plays on splat 2. Cool. Let's do one more just for fun because you guys are all killing this. Great. Do you want to pick the last one? The grand finale?
Okay, let's find that bug then. Find that bug. We'll go easy for 200.
Like,
oh, I see 1,000. 1,000. Oh.
Great. So for find that bug 200, move 1 block to make 4 cat sounds. So you'll want to move either the A block, which is this one, the B block, the C block, or the D block, and you'd want to move it somewhere else. So I guess just which block would you move, and then where would you move it? I see a B to A, a lot of Bs. Yeah, a lot of move B to A. Great, let's see if you guys are right. And that is right. So you'd move this whole block B over right under A. So when the program starts, it would repeat 4 times, but it would play the cat sound on splat 1. So great job. I did see someone say 1,000, please. Does anyone want to do one more 1,000-point one before we wrap up? Challenge yourselves. Maybe we can do see. Blocks for 1,000. Yeah, let's do it. So which block will set splat 1 score to 20? So it's either A, B, C, D, or E. I'll give you a minute to look those over. Lauren, yes, it's math time. Got a lot of A's rolling in. Great. Give you about 5 more seconds to get your answers in. Awesome. Great, and the answer is A. So set splat 1, score 2, 4 plus 16, which equals 20. So great job, everyone can do math. Love it. Cool, so we'll go back. Thank you for playing that game with me. We have it actually on our website, so in our lesson plan. So if you want to download it for free, you can use it in your classroom. It's just a slide deck, so you don't need our app access for this one, but it's a really great way to mix up your day with your students for sure. But great, so moving on, presenting. Now we're gonna, I'm actually gonna introduce you to our friend Hunter, who is an account executive at Unruly Studios, and he's gonna kind of just talk about what's included in our membership, because it's definitely more than just the fun splats. So Hunter's on here, yay.
I'm actually muted. Hey everybody, just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Hunter. I am the West Coast representative for the sales team. Thank you so much, Grant and Melanie, for your awesome feedback and participation. Super helpful, and for me, is from the sales perspective too, just to hear your stories of success too. So thank you guys so much for sharing. Honestly, included in the package, along with the splats, I think is a pretty robust customer service package. I think Grant and Melanie can attest that we're definitely there every step of the way. And we definitely love collaborating with you to create content and create games that's actually going to work for you in the classroom. And then training is also something that's really important for us. So as I mentioned, we have a robust onboarding and training package. And also our customer success team is fantastic. So we really want to, obviously work with you and again, collaborate and create content that's actually going to work for you in the classroom and create more of those awesome experiences and aha moments for you. And my big takeaway from what Grant said is motivated students create motivated teachers. So thank you. I'm definitely stealing that and using that in my sales presentations from now on. But I think some of the resources like the lesson plans and the content, to kind of Melanie's point, can definitely help to motivate you. As she mentioned, she kind of went home and was doing some homework on her own. So we do have access to things like that are definitely going to help you and propel you to make this successful for you. So those are some of the things that are included in the package. Looking forward to connecting with all of you at some point, and I will also put my contact information in the chat as well. But thank you so much for your time and the opportunity to connect with you all, and I hope to hear from you soon.
Yeah, thank you, Hunter. I think too, one of my favorite parts about the membership is the weekly onboarding training. So if you ever have that educator who sees like the fun things that are happening in like Melanie's class and wants to join in, but is a little hesitant on the coding aspect, you can always direct them to our weekly trainings, and they can, our school success member, Ryan, is really great at getting people set up and feeling comfortable and confident with that code. So it's a great way. I know someone mentioned community building is a challenge that they've been facing. So this could be a really great way to get involved. So awesome. We're gonna open it up now to a Q&A. So please feel free to use the Q&A function to ask us any questions, maybe for Grant or Melanie about their experiences, or if you have any questions about splats directly, you can drop those in now. Give it a few minutes. My Q&A button is not working, so I don't know if anyone can see the question that popped up. But I know Faith just asked, has anyone connected splats to art? So we actually have this game in our Unruly Fitness packet called the Found Art Challenge. So it was a really good game for virtual learning, especially for PE teachers to get their students out of their seats. So basically we code the game and it makes a random color appear on the splats. And then whatever color appears, there's a timer that goes off and you have about 10 seconds to go find that item of that color in your house. So maybe if it's yellow, you go grab a banana or your yellow notebook or anything like that. So rotation will happen about 5 times. And then at the end of that, you'll have about 30 seconds to build a sculpture out of all your findings from the colors. So I know we had one called Teddy the Cashier. Someone made like from a teddy bear and a cashier and like got really creative and they named their art challenges. So Kevin Napier and Virginia, who's a PE teacher, had a lot of examples and pictures from that. So you can definitely get really creative with splats. Let's see. Great. I see a question about durability. So there's a warranty on our splats if they ever do break, but they're very durable. We have a lot of videos of students throwing them downstairs for like really, really stomping on them. Like I would attest that they are durable. Melanie, what do you think seeing your students stomp on them?
Yes, they are. I have a new student and he's like stomps on that thing, and the rest of the kids are like, oh. But yeah, it's durable.
Yeah, that's great. Also too, there's these black little dots on the bottom. So these kind of these are the real buttons that are being pressed. So as long as these are intact, the splats will still work correctly. But that's really all there is to know about that. They're really durable. We have some funny videos about that too. Awesome. So I see a question about how often lesson plans are created. So we have a school success team who's working on lesson plans and works with other educators to build their lesson plans, which is really great right now. We're working with one educator named Ashley Fort, who's helping us with a place value math game and a human calculator game. So we have all sorts of kind of games coming out as teachers requested, or they come up with their own ideas. But with lesson plans, we also offer events, nationwide events. So like in the fall, we did a fall fitness challenge where schools competed for the most points throughout by completing one of our fitness packet activities. So, and then they won a golden splat at the end, which is really cool bragging rights. So we have activities and events going on all the time. Actually, right now we're doing a game-a-thon where there's a competition for all schools to submit their games they've created with the code. So there's always ways to get involved and build the community and kind of build your Unruly community as well.
And if I'm not mistaken, Marissa, I think Mel guys participated in the March Madness one. Yeah. How did that go, Mel?
Yep, we participated in the March Madness. I think all of first grade did. It was fun. The kids just, they stomped their heart out. But yeah, and then we got they got cool sunglasses from Splats. So they all use them now at recess and like a sticker.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, so for those who don't know what Salt Madness 2 is kind of a spin on March Madness. So it was a month-long event where every school that has splats, so each splat or each stomp on a splat equaled a penny that we donated to this nonprofit called Kaboom, who helps build play spaces for low income areas. So it was a really great cause and it got students like stomping like crazy, and the competition was really high, and we had weekly leaderboards from schools all over the nation. So some of them won prizes, which the sunglasses are so cool. I'm glad your students enjoyed them. Great. Let's see if I'm missing any other questions. Yeah, so the question about for splats, you do have to buy the membership. So someone's asking if you can just buy the splats without the subscription. We do offer it in a membership package just because we found it most successful, having that support and like along with our school success team offering daily sessions, the creation of these new lesson plans, the events, just kind of that upkeep with the Unruly community that you're a part of. So the spots do come in membership prices, which is, I think, amazing. Great. I see a question about batteries. So spots do take batteries that go right in the back of it. So it depends on how much you use them and what the question is, how long do the batteries last? Maybe Melanie could talk about this a little bit too, but it really depends on the type of battery you buy and how often you use your splats and on certain color, like certain features of the splats. So if you have a bunch of the LED lights flashing all the time, that could wear the battery out a little bit faster. But overall, I think they last a pretty good amount of time. Melanie, what do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think I've only changed it once since like one of the splats since we've started, but I I haven't had to change it since then. So I think it lasts pretty long. And we play it every day, even if it's not for that long, almost every day. And then someone else asked about like I use the app with my kids, but sometimes I can't connect to the AirPlay, and so like I can't show them like the app on the screen, but we use the app with the kids and not Chrome browser.
Nice.
That app helps.
Great. If we have time for a few more questions, but I know time is almost up. So thank you all so much for taking the time and hanging out with us and learning a little bit more about Melanie and Grant's experiences and their advice and their stories. And thank you, Melanie and Grant, for taking the time and sharing those. It was just amazing. But yeah, if that's all we have for tonight, so feel free to hop off if you have no more questions, but we'll be here for a few more minutes. So feel free to hang out and ask us anything you'd like. Amazing. Now I want to
question from Kyra. I don't know if you saw it in the Q&A. Hunter answered it, but I thought it'd be great to let everyone else know in case anybody else had a similar question. But it was, is there a community library where teachers or students can upload the lessons or programs they've created, or is it just the ones provided through Splats? So for the actual games that the students create, they can save them to their profiles. And so you can upload them and share them. And it's all, because it's all in the cloud, you as the teacher or educator can access all of them through one device. But we do have a portal in terms of content for lesson plans and activities. So we have a portal on our website, which anybody in your school who, if your school has a membership, will have access to the portal. So you can get all those lesson plans and content. We're working on a way that teachers can share lesson plans with other teachers like around the world. We're not there yet, but we're working on it. So that's a great idea.
Yeah, thank you, Lauren, for sharing. My Q&A button's not working tonight for some reason. So sorry I missed your question.
No worries, Hunter got it too.
Perfect. Great. Well, thank you all so much for attending. It was a lot of fun. I loved playing the games with you, and enjoy the rest of your night.